gas supplies from Ma'rib to put more pressure on the government. Informed sources in Damar accuse the Houthis of child abduction crimes. Dengue fever plagues displaced families in Ma'rib amid shortage of medical services. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Roshan Fuad. The UN Special Envoy to Yemen announced talks with the British side regarding the Yemeni issue and the peace process in Yemen. A brief statement by the Office of the UN Envoy said that he met with British Secretary of State and they discussed United Nations efforts to achieve peace in Yemen. The statement added that they also discussed ways to ensure regional and international support to advance the political process and preserve the unity. The heads of the European Union mission to Yemen condemned the abduction of 17 members of the Baha'i sect in Sana'a. This came in a joint statement issued by the mission as they expressed their deep concern about the arrest of 17 members of the Baha'i community. The statement stressed the freedom of religion and belief, which is a basic right for all individuals, and that it should not be compromised in Yemen, in line with relevant obligations under international law. To force Yemeni government money, the Houthis stopped the supply of Ma'rib gas. This report gives more details.
Houthis have escalated their economic battle against the Yemeni government by prohibiting petrol tankers from the government-controlled Ma'rib from entering the region by cutting off a major revenue source. Despite chronic shortages of cooking gas in densely populated regions under their control, government authorities and the government's gas corporation said that the Houthis have taken hundreds of gas tanker trucks and prevented additional laden vehicles from accessing their strongholds in Sana'a and Al Jawf. According to the government, the militia supported by Iran has stopped inexpensive gas imports from Ma'rib in favor of more expensive gas supplied into Yemen through Hodeidah port. Yemen's Information Minister Muammar al-Eriani stated that the Houthis replaced local cooking gas with more expensive imports from Iran, selling it to civilians in their districts at twice the price, which adds to the people's financial difficulties. The minister stated on Twitter that these illegal practices are an outgrowth of the terrorist Houthi militia's policies of poverty and malnutrition against its citizens since its coup against the government, increasing their responsibilities, boosting its war, and enriching its commanders. Iranian petroleum and gas smuggled to the Houthi militia through the port of Hodeidah indicates that the Tehran regime continues to support and pay the militia. According to the Yemen Oil and Gas Corp in Ma'rib, Houthis seized 1,108 tanker trucks carrying more than 28 tons of gas on their way from Ma'rib to Houthi territory in April alone. Yemen's government sells the majority of the cooking gas produced in Ma'rib fields to residents of Houthi-controlled areas, generating billions of Yemeni riyals in money each month. The Yemeni government said that the Houthis used the UN-brokered truce facilities to import petroleum from Iran through Hodeidah. According to Houthis, traders should import goods through Hodeidah port, a measure intended to drive traders out of government-controlled areas like in Aden, since the Houthis launched drone and missile attacks on oil sites in Shabwa and Hadramaut, which are under the government control. The major source of funding for the government has been oil shipments, which have been halted since last year. Yemeni Prime Minister Ma'in Abdel Malik has called on the international donors to help his government in meeting its economic objectives as a result of Houthi economic actions. Houthis are also working to generate new money streams. A Yemeni conflict analyst indicated that the Houthis have taken a number of actions since the start of the ceasefire last year to establish new revenue sources for themselves, while depriving the government of significant tax money.
Messam Project said that the total that was cleared within the framework of its humanitarian mission this month amounted to 3,989 mines. During the month of May 2023, the project was able to remove 3,239 unexploded ordnance and 674 anti-tank mines. The media center indicated that the total that has been cleared since the launch of Messam Project area has reached 46,439,132 square meters. 7 people from one family died today after a car fell into a water dam southwest of Ibb. Local sources said that the car carrying 7 people from one family fell into Al Jaradi Dam, which led to the immediate death of 4 people and the injury of 2 others. The accident comes after a series of similar drowning accidents in many Yemeni governorates in recent days due to torrential rains and flooding which hit major areas in the country. Child abductions are becoming more common in Damar, and Houthi gangs are being blamed. This report has more details.
Houthis have been accused of being behind the widespread kidnapping of boys and girls in Damar. According to sources, they kidnap these children to recruit them to serve their sectarian agenda. Since the beginning of this year, 28 girls and boys have disappeared. The past month recorded 5 cases of disappearance of children between 7 and 16 in separate neighborhoods and streets. According to the reports, criminal gangs affiliated with Houthi coup leaders are behind the mass kidnapping of young people, which is escalating in Damar and 12 other districts under severe deterioration and security instability. The most recent of these incidents was the kidnapping of Ahmed Abdullah al-Haddad, who is from Al-Rima Governorate. In addition to a girl named Amani, which was also kidnapped by an unknown group of people in Damar. According to bystanders, Amani was kidnapped by 3 masked individuals when they closed off the road to her in the morning, the minute she left her house to acquire basic necessities, and forced her into a car to an unknown destination. Witnesses reported that the kidnappers returned the child to the location from which she was abducted, and then disappeared without stating anything further. In addition, a young woman called Karima vanished in mid-May from one of the city of Damar's main streets under circumstances that are still unknown. This increase in kidnappings of boys and girls coincides with the group's ongoing push to recruit about 80,000 male and female students in Damar to the militia's summer radicalization camps, which now involves 1,000 schools.
Ma'arib displacement camps still suffer from dengue fever among the IDPs. This report gives more details.
The Executive Unit for the Management of IDPs camps in Yemen has announced an outbreak of dengue fever among the displaced in Ma'arib Governorate. The Executive Unit said that 71 displaced people infected with the epidemic have been transferred from Al Hussoun camp to the Governorate's hospitals. The main cause of dengue fever is mosquitoes spread in pools and watery sites, which works to transmit dengue virus among the displaced and helps spread infections. To prevent the epidemic, the Executive Unit called for wearing long-sleeved clothing in addition to insect repellents, using mosquito nets, and eliminating mosquito breeding sites such as small pools of water in car tires and near homes and IDPs' homes. Dengue fever is endemic in Yemen, with outbreaks reported in a number of governorates over the last 10 years. This year, however, the response to the current outbreak has been fraught, with challenges as a result of the ongoing insecurity and a near collapse of the health system. In addition, recent heavy rainfall, disruption of water supplies, and scarcity of safe drinking water have contributed to the spread of mosquitoes in the affected areas, resulting in suspected dengue cases. As part of a dengue fever and response plan, WHO is working with the Ministry of Public Health and Population and partners to provide fluids and supportive treatment to functioning health facilities in affected areas, conduct spraying activities in Al-Hudaydah, Adan and Hadramaut, and provide rapid response training courses for doctors and health workers, including case identification and management for dengue fever. According to the Ministry of Public Health and Population's Integrated Disease Surveillance System, almost 11,900 suspected cases of dengue fever were reported from January to April this year, compared to 1,755 suspected cases during the same time period last year.
Coming next. Poor and hard living conditions force a pilot to work as stone cutter.
من بداية الحرب ارتفع سعر المواشي وارتفع سعر الأعلاف. القونية البر عندي 50,000، يلا نشتري نص قونية بالنسبة لنا الرعاة عندنا يعني نفكر بالأعلاف، هذا اللي نفكر به. اليوم أجا منظمة الفاو وأعطيتنا احنا 3 جواني أعلاف و3 قوالب ملحية. نستفيد من الأعلاف غذاء للمواشي حافظا على صحة الأغنام، والقوالب الملحية فاتحة للشهية. الذي استلمته اليوم فيساعدنا في معيشتي اقتصادية مع الأسرة، يعني بدل ما اشتري الأعلاف اشتري الجهال.
Welcome back. Stone trimming is a profession in which some of work in the town of Mudaraba, north of Lahj. In search of a living, it represents one of the architectural aesthetics that characterize some of the towns of. Has more details.
Colonel Salim al-Barma, an engineer in the Yemeni Air Force, was prompted by the war and the interruption of salaries to work in the stone trimming field in a Ruwais town north of Lahj Governorate to improve the living conditions of his family and their failure to meet their life demands.
We use mountain stones for construction because most people used to build with cement bricks whose lifespan ends after years. We return back to the legacy of our ancestors who built their homes and palaces with those stones.
Building with the stones is an appealing architectural work in Lahj countryside. However, those who work in this sector confront significant challenges in marketing trimmed stones due to poor living circumstances.
Stone carving is an eye-catching, civilized architectural art that decorates buildings to give an artistic view. We're facing difficulties in this work, as I need a compressor beside distances we pursue in which we get the stones, and the tools we use are very primitive.
Trimming stones is a difficult and exhausting occupation, yet some people undertake it because of the difficulties of developing work prospects at a time when this profession is available. It requires numerous abilities, not to mention people's little purchasing capacity, since the price of those stones rises over the blocks, which weakens the overall tendency towards it.
The ambassador of Yemen to the United Nations confirmed that pieces of Yemen's antiques will be displayed in an auction in New York State. He added that the auction is set to be held under the title Art for Eternity, which will include 3 smuggled pieces of antiques from Yemen. He explained that there is an agreement signed between the 2 countries, but it alone is not sufficient to retrieve it. The Ministry of Endowments issued a circular regarding the companies approved for the international transport of Yemeni pilgrims. The circular specified the names of international transport companies accredited by the Hajj and Umrah sector to transport pilgrims for this season. The Hajj and Umrah sector alerted the establishments approved for the transportation of pilgrims to bear the responsibility of choosing the company. A new economic study recommended Yemen to address the energy crisis and reduce its heavy financial burden on the state. The study confirmed that the lack of electricity services is still a major obstacle to sustainable economic development. The study, issued by the Initiative to Reimagine Yemen's Re-Economy, considered electricity a prerequisite for getting out of the current humanitarian crisis. The governor of Shabwa has started inaugurating the first phase of the support provided by Khalifa bin Zayed Foundation for humanitarian works. The initial stage consisted of rehabilitating, restoring, and equipping 4 damaged hospitals in the governorate. This report has more details.
The Maternity and Childhood Hospital in the city of Atak is one of 4 hospitals that have been rehabilitated, renovated, and equipped. This humanitarian intervention, carried out with the support of Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Foundation for Humanitarian Works, will result in a qualitative leap in the work and activity of the targeted hospitals and bolster their medical and treatment services.
We inaugurate the first stage of the rehabilitation process funded by Khalifa bin Zayed Foundation for Humanitarian Work. This phase consists of rehabilitating, restoring, and equipping 4 damaged hospitals in the governorate. We thank our brothers for their generous donation to the health sector.
The project entails repairing, renovating, and supplying Shabwa hospitals with medical supplies, as well as staffing them with doctors and experts in order to keep them running smoothly and providing appropriate healthcare services to Yemenis. The project will be completed in 2 phases. The first will consist of equipping and rehabilitating 4 essential hospitals that are a priority for the community, followed by the second phase, which will include 12 more hospitals around Shabwa.
Today we received the governor of Shabwa, Awad bin Muhammad Al-Wazir, who has participated in the inauguration of the first phase of rehabilitation and equipment of 4 hospitals in the province. He's supplied the hospitals with medical equipment and cadres to ensure urgent intervention.
Availability of functioning health infrastructure in Yemen, such as hospitals and primary care centers, has dwindled under the weight of conflict, with a significant share of the population having challenges with access to health care.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. The Houthis hauled gas supplies from Ma'rib to put more pressure on the government. Informed sources in Damara accused the Houthis of child abduction crimes. Dengue fever plagues displaced families in Ma'rib amid shortage of medical services. This is the end of the news. It was Roshan Fouad. See you soon.